Here we go again, everyone, looking at another Mutant Year Zero game. This one being Elysium. And you play the pure humans. And just like the other Mutant Year Zero standalone games, this one being standalone, or indeed can be added into a Mutant Year Zero campaign, it's got its own talents specifically for this book, its own class-related skills, and indeed it's all new classes as well. In fact, we have 1, 2, 3. What's that? How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new classes here. The investigator, the officer, the procurator, the scholar, the soldier, and the technician, plus a whole bunch of new general talents as well. And as always with the talents, they are interchangeable between all of the mutant books that you can play. But that's the thing I really enjoy about these games. They have their own specific classes, all 4 of them, for the game. And I try to encourage the players to pick classes if they're playing the standalone campaign centric sort of one, to take one of those classes for now, because you avoid kind of doubling up and people playing it twice and really getting to explore the theme of that campaign with the appropriate classes that it should actually have. And then come whatever time when all of this is cross compatible, when I'd come to do Mutant or whatever, and all the others are added in as DLC packs, then anything goes. You just play the whole breadth of everything, things you've never played, from all sorts of combinations of mad crossover, and it would be great, wouldn't it? And that's the goal to work towards, of course. Now, I think the one thing that makes the classes stand out here is the way the personal skills for that class, and indeed the talents, work. And those are the real flavour of the class. You've got an extra little thing here, choosing which house you're going to belong to, and that has the one other added difference of having an attributed stat attribute. And if you ever want to push a roll using your house's attribute for that skill test, you're allowed to re-roll ones when you normally wouldn't be able to, thus potentially avoiding damage to that stat. So a quick look at the classes then, and just give you like a really rough first. This will not be close analysis, okay? The book's there for you to do that. But this is for anyone that's curious, and indeed my players, if they want an overview. So let's do that. We'll start off with the investigator. So their role seems to be pretty important for the kind of thing you'll be doing, a kind of a police force, basically, and checking the scene for clues and gaining bits of information that other people might have missed. And remember that all of these classes, they have a unique 13th skill that only the class gets, but they also get 3 class-related talents that only that class can get, then access to all the general talents that everybody gets. So these ones, we're going to look at the, some of the flavour of some of these class talents as well with it. So, the investigate, that's kind of, it's obvious what it is. Some of these talents let you swap stats, so they let you use a different stat instead of the attribute for that. You can, or a different skill, you swap it round or whatever. Yeah, that's that kind of thinking. So if you've got the thing, but you've decided to push one of your attributes higher, so that you might have pushed, say, agility higher, but it's not your main thing here. This talent might let you then use agility, so that you can focus on the gunplay but still do your class thing really well. And so you pay your tax by taking that as a talent. to do that. So there's a little bit of pre-planning in things like that. So, you know, intuition, straight away, you have an empathic understanding of when something is not right. You can roll for the investigation skill using empathy instead of wits. So if you had a particularly high empathy for some reason, the way you've built yourself, because remember the attributes, they don't change, it's the skills that push up. You can still use intuition to do your investigator thing that way, using the other attribute instead. Many faces, like you can like do disguise, do the whole Sherlock Holmes thing, if you want to be that kind of investigator. And well connected, this is like using your connections. You gain the extra influence point for your contacts and making better use of that. So it's that kind of support, smart aleck kind of class. You've got the officer, tends to be an important thing. These kind of command skills in the mutant system, this kind of thing where you get to roll your command usually with these classes, and if you succeed on that kind of command roll, you can then give a whole bunch of your successes to the person you gave that command to. So for example, you're in a gunfight, yeah, and you shout to one of your teammates, "Hey, shoot that one behind the barricade." He's like, "Aye, aye, Captain." So you roll your command roll, the sort of dealy thing, and then the number of successes you get, well, two for what you get, 2 successes you can give to your first success, your sixth success, and then all extra ones after that, put it up by 1 per extra. So you give all them successes over to his roll when he does his shot. I say he because the book refers to the players as he and the GM as she. So, but I'm the GM, so it's he as well. Sorry, girls, but I will let you play, and you can be she's for your characters. I'm quite happy to have you play too. So, takes his shot at the guy behind the barrier there, and gets to add all those extra dice. That's that kind of roll, and again, commander, you can roll for the command skill instead of heal to get a broken person back on their feet. So you lie down, you can stand over them and be like, "You're being lazy," or you do the sergeant major thing or something like that. You could kind of go that way. You could have some fun. I can see people having some fun with that. Feared enemy sort of thing where you can basically put doubt in their mind. You're using your words. So again, you're shouting at. You could be the sergeant major. Again, you could be the guy from Full Metal Jacket. That would be great, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's what I want to see. Leader from the front. You lead by example rather than barking orders. You can roll for command using agility instead of empathy. So here we go again. You might not have wanted to build your empathy up. You might wanted to have really been a badass with a gun and pushed your agility up, and then you can still do your command thing if you've took that talent. So there's a definite sort of forward thinking there, and you can access the kind of vibe they're going for by looking at these class specific talents. You see what I mean? So that's the officer. It's that sort of buffing support sort of thing. The Procurator. Now that's interesting. Think of it as like a lawyer. So they literally carry their book of the law around with them all the time, and I'm not sure how essential to a party this could be. It could either be really, really good or really, really useless, especially depending on whether you're using the additional rules of the double agent thing and the accusing one of the team members of being the double agent. And if you're using all that, this is great here, especially. But it's going to have its uses. Having someone like that on your side, because they can do their thing where they can basically an attempt to sort of manipulate someone, but using the law to do it. So use a loophole and say, well, actually, you have to let us pass, even though we don't have the actual passes, because remember the such and such that I can cite, and that we are at least judicators of whatever, or this is someone from house whatever, and by the rights of your house, you've had an amendment with them, and, you know, cite some sort of obscure thing that's going to be able to get them passed with that knowledge. You got the defender talent with the procurator. You can roll for prosecute. It's called the prosecute skill. That's their 13th skill. So basically, if you or another patrol member has been exposed as a double agent, so basically there's been a unanimous vote to decide that you are the double agent, whether you actually are or not, you will still come under the punishment of having been unanimously accused of being it. You get to do a prosecute roll basically as a procurator, and if it succeeds, you become exonerated, or your client does. So you become potentially a lawyer for another party member. But in so doing, if you're defending them, you may stipulate a form of payment for your service, whether it be currency or a favour or something else. So you can work that out with the player. So there's some fun to be had there, potentially, right? The right sort of situation if it occurs. Pettifogger. That's another one of these, manipulate using a different attribute. It's like that basically. Public servant. When working on the projects, the different type of projects, and they list the type of projects here, you can use the prosecute skill instead of the indicated skill. So basically, if you're gonna take that, and you get +2 modification to the roll, you pump everything into public servant, you push that up, you max it out, and you basically push public servant all the time, and you're just some smart ass that's always quoting the book and basically defeating all odds by the rule of law, because, you know, you're a smarmy lawyer who's able to talk your way out of everything. You know, if you want to be that slippery guy, then, you know, that's it. The scholar. Let's look at the scholar. So usually a scholar, I mean, you'll know basically what a scholar will do, that sort of knowledge base, able to have information about a thing that the rest of the group may not have. So it's the kind of thing where they do a roll and the GM would then tell you what you know, and then you tell the rest of the group, even though they've just heard you tell the player, unless you've got some way of whispering something. I mean, that's the kind of thing where, like, cutouts are great, like pre-drawn out handouts or screenshots or screen captures or whatever you're using from the PDF, and just like send it across quickly in a whisper or a PM or a DM or whatever, and then let the player then tell the rest of the group. That's the ideal, isn't it? But yeah, you've got talents like bearer of knowledge. So that's for zone settlements, of course. We can replace comprehend with enlighten. We won't be in the zone personally here, but, you know, something to keep in mind there. Crucial insight. You always find a way out of the most desperate situations. You can roll for comprehend instead of move when the skill is used to get out of a dangerous situation. So a lot of the time when there's things like you want to leave combat, or some sort of dangerous trap thing is occurring or something, you have the option to do a move roll, and then everyone needs to try and do the move roll. And usually, if someone rolls really well on a move, they can usually use their extra stunts to help someone that's failed, sort of thing, and get them along out of it. So a bit of team power will often get you out of it. But here you can use your insight to kind of work out a clever way out of it yourself, using your mind. And also the scholar's basically described as something where if you don't know what to do next and the party's kind of stuck, look to the scholar, and the scholar can do his role to kind of figure out what the party should do next. So it's a way of the GM basically feeding the group through the scholar. Here's what you can do next, rather than just wander around aimlessly. It's one way of using it. Judge of character is the third skill they get. You've studied human body language carefully and have learned to see signs of lies and manipulation. So basically you roll for enlighten instead of sense of motion when trying to resist someone's attempt to manipulate you. Not sure how much people manipulating you are going to be a thing. Maybe they will. I haven't read the actual campaign yet. Depends depends on, you know, for the scope of your thing. It's not something as a player, if I was playing one of these guys, that it's not something that would jump out for me as an immediate take there. But of course, you don't have to, you know, take all of those. You can start, you know, filling up on general talents and taking them from other books as well, taking them from Gen Lab, taking them from Mutant. Obviously not from Mechatron, because that's all robot-y stuff. And, you know, you can only take them if you yourself are robot-y. Soldier, you know, it's pretty self-evident what a soldier is. And all of the systems usually have something like it, you know. But this one's, I like how they've done the same class but made each one unique to the setting. And this one's kind of tanky. This one is, you know, I see him as a bit like John McClane in Die Hard, you know, Bruce Willis, being able to like go through a hell of a lot and still keep going. You've got the beefy talent. Your body can withstand large amounts of punishment. You can roll for strength instead of agility when you roll for press on. Use your unmodified rating in strength, not your temporary one, which is 0 when you are broken, because obviously your stats take damage, your attributes, and you have to roll the whatever it currently is, but you always roll max for that. So, you know, that's great. And none of the classes actually have strength as their primary stat, but you know, you could build strength up as higher. You could go that way and kind of try and be a bit more melee focused, I suppose, and take the beefy thing. But there is nothing that's like jumps out as this is the melee class here. Biomechatronic. So basically, you can start with a biomech implant ability instead of like buying one further into the campaign. Should you wish to buy one, you can just start with one as a talent. And True Grit, when you roll for press on immediately when you get broken by damage, you just roll that immediately. It does not count as an action. If the roll succeeds, you immediately perform one bonus action or maneuver before you collapse. And press on, quick look at press on. You will fulfill your order. That's the 13th skill for the soldier. Fulfill your orders no matter the pain. So you roll it when broken. And if you succeed on a press on skill roll, you immediately recover as many points of damage as the number of successes rolled. The skill has no effect on critical injuries. So you can keep going through incredible odds. So, you know, it's that John McClane moment again. You know, you've got the dirty vest and it's blood soaked, and you're crawling through glass, and there's just more to go, and yippee-ki-yay. Yeah, the technician. I think the soldier's probably an auto-include, really, for your campaign. Someone ought to have it there. You need someone that's going to be able to do that. And I think it would be a nice addition as a class to bring to Year Zero, to add to the skill sets there. It's a particular kind of soldier, you know. The technician, I think, is a pretty good inclusion as well. The other books have classes that perform a similar function as well. Someone that can repair and mend things and that, you know, is always very, very useful. Gear can break in this one when you roll the zeros on, when you roll the ones for gear. When pushing a roll, that breaks your gear. The ones after a push. So they gain access to a biomechatronic as well, so they can take it as a talent. They get field surgeon. So basically, there's no healer here out of these classes, but the technician gets access to a healy thing because they have a bit of human anatomy. So they're a fixer-upper, but they get a bit of. They can use their tinker instead of a heal to save the life of someone who suffered a lethal critical injury. You cannot replace heal in other situations. So it's just for the crits and that. But it could be a big deal. Because those crits, you know, they're kind of randomly generated after all. And you could get a pretty bad one that's, you know, going to kill you pretty soon if it hasn't already outright. Grease Monkey, you get a +1 modification when you roll Tinker to repair an item. The modification applies only when making repairs, not for other uses of the skill. So that's pretty cool. And so, you know, the Tinker thing, this is the repairing that we were talking about. It's nice to have someone on hand who can do that without you as a group having to worry about taking it to shops or taking it to repair facilities and then paying credits to have it done for you. Yeah, there it is. So those are the classes, and to me the technician and the soldier are the definite auto includes, and the officer is a probably, and then the fourth one kind of, I'd say, you know, anything you want. But yeah, that's covered the classes here for Elysium, and I'll see you at the next one, guys.